Roll for initiative, final chapter. The final challenge by Prak. So, Twilight, what's the plan? Asked Rainbow Dash, taking her seat at the table. Twilight shook her head. Sorry, Dash, can't tell you that. The faces of Twilight's friends fell into the marching grimaces. Are you allowed now? Asked Applejack. Yeah, Rainbow Dash said. How are we supposed to do our part of the plan if we don't know the plan? Oh, well, you see, guys, Twilight's plan is to call in Matt Mercer. Matt Mercer! Yes, ye of being the greatest DM that ever existed. Ye of being able to control mighty... That guy's with a simple flick of his long flowing hair. And ye of the most dynamic, awesome voice ever. And controller of Star Platinum. Yes, that famed Matt Mercer. We will rely on him to save the day. Because it was either that or Colin Griffith, McElroy, and if we did that, I'm pretty positive Luna would be driven mad by the Tory boys. I'm sorry, Twilight says he distributed the character sheets, but if I tell you the plan, it can't possibly work. I need your responses to be genuine. She smiled and looked at each of them in turn. This game is going to be your toughest challenge yet. I designed it to counter every trick in Luna's book, so you'll have to be clever to win. The lateral hose and wheels touching down outside the library cut off any impending replies. Okay, she's here, whispered Twilight. Remember to make her feel welcome. The door opened moments later, and the others nodded. Luna straight in with her entourage in tow, while the porter set up the buffet. Luna approached the table. Howdy, Luna, said Applejack. She tipped her hat and held out her hoof. Nice to see you again. Luna hesitantly tapped her own hoof against Applejack's and said, Likewise. Continuing around the table, she came to the next pony. Princess Luna, always a pleasure, said Rarity. The pleasure's all mine, Rarity. Hey, Luna, how's it hanging? Asked Rainbow, as Luna reached her. Luna scratched the back of her head before answering, It's hanging very well, I suppose. Fireside mumbled something unintelligible, but she was smiling, so Luna smiled back and nodded. Here, Princess Luna! Pinky shouted as Luna reached her. Luna came to a stop and stared at Pinky with one eyebrow raised. The others fell completely silent. Pinky! Twilight whispered. Where are you? Hello to you too, Pinko! Luna said, grinning widely as her lips were stretched. The silence persisted, but it was Luna's turn to continue grinning awkwardly, while the rest of the table stared at her. Pinky looked especially horrified. After a few seconds, Luna's grin fell to a grimace. What? Twilight cleared her throat. Ahem! Well, Luna, I know you don't know the term, but you sort of just called Pinky... She paused aside. An anti-princess revolutionary. Luna stepped back, her eyes wide. Those actually exist? Not around here, thankfully, said Rarity as she levitated a teacup full of soda from the reception table. Oh, I apologize, Pinkie Pie. I meant no offense. Pinkie grinned. None taken, Princess Luna. Now, sit down so we can get started. Shaking her head, Luna took a seat at the far end of the table next to Twilight. Twilight set her screen up and opened her books. Now, when we left off, you had just learned the existence of a great new bandit city. After speaking with the guard who told you about it a little more, you found that the bandits had kidnapped the high priest of several other temples, but you didn't know what the bandits were planning on doing with them. Since then, you've restarted your provisions at the temple and set out. After 2 days of travel, a walled city comes into view on the horizon. You know, Twilight, your other plan could involve forcing Luna to play 4th edition. That ought to set anybody off. No. We want her to retain her sanity. Well, Trix, by the time this fic came out, and the year this fic was published, we only had 4th edition. I can't tell her to play 5th edition. Oh-ho! Cried Nightshade. We have at last uncovered this den of evil. Now I shall inflict righteous fences upon the vermin who dwell within. Please stay your blade a moment, said an ally host. The city appears to be well guarded. No, General stepped forward. I agree. There are fortified positions all along the walls, and each seem to be guarded by a squad of archers. There are too many for any of us. Even you to survive direct attack. Nightshade scoffed. I can see them as well as thou can. The wretches are not looking down. They are waiting for the guard at the gate to listen to the taser with his bow. She grinned. and licked her lips as her mane shifted between a variety of different blades. I simply need to eliminate him before he gets signal for help. With my stealth skills, it should be a simple task.
You best hold on,
Sword Sparks said, triggering the face hose for the rest.
I know those glasses he's wearing. Those are the legendary glasses of true seeing. With those, you can see any point comings, even if they're hidings.
Luna scowled. I do not approve of this. It is not a fair challenge.
Well, perhaps there's a hidden door somewhere that's unguarded,
said Hilo Roller.
Wait,
Crusher said, struggling to stumble on his chin.
Crusher have an idea. If guards sees pony who do not bandit coming, he ring bell, right?
The Arizal nodded, wholly eyed.
Yeah, he'll probably ring the bell if anybody approaches with a weapon drawn, or makes any hostile move towards them.
Crusher's face contorted into a sneering grin.
Crusher look like bandit, right?
Crusher tried toward the gate, the battle axe across his back, clanking against the terrorized chitlin armor with every step. The further the image, Numble Gem had smeared blood from a convenient animal carcass onto his armor. Hail, fellow bandit, the guard said as Crusher approached. Though his granny was friendly, he still gripped the bell firmly. Any sudden movement would cause it to ring. And in case anybody's wondering, when I DM, yes, I do put on a bunch of different voices for the different NPCs. What were you thinking?
Hail, gate guard,
Crusher said. One moment while I open the gate for you, my brother and banditry. The guard reached back with one of his hind legs and flipped the lever. The gate slowly started to creak open. You may proceed.
Thank you,
Crusher said. He stepped forward until the guard was at the edge of his reach and stopped.
One more thing. Crusher have friends coming.
I suggest where you're going to tell that, God replied.
You do not understand,
Crusher said, rising to his full height and turning to stare into the guard's eyes.
Crusher's friends are not bandits.
The intensity of Crusher's stare forcibly petrified the guard. He broke into a cold sweat and his knees started to quiver. He leaned in and slowly stepped toward the guard, looming over him.
Careful, you don't want to ring bell. Crusher not like bell.
Movement registered in the guard's peripheral vision. Though the ponies approaching were covered by dark cloaks, his glasses told that they were not bandits. Still he didn't ring the bell.
You don't see them, right?
The guard nodded. Once the others were through, Crusher leaned in close to the guard.
If you ring bell after Crusher leave, Crusher find you. Understand?
The guard nodded as a puddle formed beneath him.
Good.
Crusher turned and walked toward the gate. Before passing through, he stopped to look back.
One more thing. No close gate.
The guard nodded again, and Crusher watched him to join the others. Grinning down, he said,
Crusher good at stealth.
More than the half of the table erupted into laughter. Meanwhile, Fluttershy grinned, despite her blush. Luna gawked at her, and Twilight glanced back and forth between the pair of them with a smug smile on her face.
That was awesome, Fluttershy,
Death said as he gasped for breath.
Yes, I almost agree, said Rarity. You did a magnificent job, darling.
Something wrong there, Luna? Asked Applejack. Luna opened her mouth a couple of times, but no words came out of her. Her third attempt at vocalization finally succeeded. That was ridiculous!
So?
Said Pinky. Twilight cleared her throat.
Luna, I don't know what your previous games were like, but in our games, brute force isn't enough to solve every problem. Sometimes you have to rely on cleverness.
As you should.
Martial art for easier, just forgot. This is an audio recording. This is not video. So, he forgot that you can't see his stare. But this is a message to all you wannabes out there that think that you could just brute force your way through a D&D session. Brute force is not always the best way to solve a problem. Sometimes it's best to just try to outsmart them. That leads to the best type of role-playing. Thank you.
Once inside the walls, the party found it easy to move around without attracting attention, as long as they stayed under their cloaks. Though it would have been suspicious in most places, half of the ponies in the city were dressed in the same way. As they wandered through the streets to get a general impression of the layout, Swirly used her magic to sketch out a rough map, marked with points of interest. After a while, the party took refuge in an alley and looked at the information they had gathered.
Okay, here's what we know,
whispered Squirrely.
There's no districts in the city because they just build new buildings where they get fire space for them. That means we don't know where to find the leader.
Nancy snarled and stomped on the hard ground, driving her hoof nearly a foot into it. This is so annoying. This city is too big to destroy like the others, and there are too many guards.
Maybe there's a reason for that, said Noble. Maybe we need more information.
Crusher nodded and stood up. He walked out of the alley and stepped in front of the first pony to come near him.
Why is the city so big and has so many guards?
While Crusher was making no deliberate attempt to be intimidating, the bandit stepped away. Don't you know? The generic nameless bandit said. This is the Bandit Holy City. The temple to the god of thugs is here.
Is temple a big deal?
The bandit nodded. That's where the bosses are going to sacrifice those priest guys.
Which way?
Asked Crusher. The bandit pointed down the road, so Crusher nodded and stepped out of his way. After he returned to the party and gave them new information, Nice smiled and said, Unholy City, eh? This intrigues me. We must find the temple at once. Agreed, said Holy and Light at the same time. Crusher, Noble, and Swirly all nodded. He stepped back onto the street and traveled to the direction the bandit indicated, watching closely for any building that looked like the temple. That turned out to be unnecessary, however, as the temple was actually the tallest building in the city and painted completely black. Despite it being too obvious for any point to overlook, Lighthouse still managed to miss it, instead of focusing on random spots appearing in front of her eyes, drooling as an imbecile as, Hey! Lay it on a bit thick, ain't you, Twa? Well, you did roll a bunch, Twilight said, looking down at number 1 on Applejack's die. La da 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 la da 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 la. Sorry. Table tradition. The party stepped to the table and found it empty. Like the exterior, everything was painted black. Motglat or Blossy Block? Asked Luna. Twilight opened her mouth to give an answer, before realizing she didn't have one. After thinking it over for a moment, she said,
I don't know. Does it really matter?
No, I just prefer matte. Like the exterior, everything inside the temple was painted matte black.
I actually prefer glossy,
whispered Fluttershy. The interior of the temple was painted in random swirls of bright colors, and the pews were all neon red, neon green, neon purple, and it wasn't changing again, no matter how much any pony complained. I relate to this so much, and I'm not even a professional DM. Although the building was tall enough to contain 5 or 6 floors, there were no stairs leading up, or any doors leading out of the room, save for the entrance.
You'd think they'd be guarding this place if it's so important, said Swirly.
I'm not so sure about that, Noble replied. There could be something on the upper floors, but I don't see a way to get there.
There must be a way up, said Holy. We can split up and search. Let me know if you find anything that looks interesting. And for the love of Celestia, don't touch anything!
The rest of the group branched out, rolling their eyes and muttering to themselves. Swirly and Noble moved between the pews, searching under the hymnals and the complimentary daggers, which were far too cheap to be worth taking.
Well, you'd load up on them if I didn't say that,
Twilight said in response to the unspoken question. Oh, come on, Twilight. What's the point of being a player character and spotting a bunch of daggers if you don't grab a few? I mean, one of my characters, Blossom, would definitely grab a few. Meanwhile, Nightshade examined the matte blank marble pillars, once again changed color because swirls were too hard to describe, and found nothing of interest. Crusher, likewise, came up empty hoof in his search of the classic black altar. Lighthouse, however, found something that looked interesting. Sister Holy, please come and look at this. Holy trotted to the other side of the room to see what Light had found. Turned out to be the statue of the god of thugs. In one hoof he held,
Does this god have an actual name?
Asked Rainbow. Twilight scratched her head. Well, I hadn't really thought of one. Is it important for some reason?
I don't know yet. Let's see.
Rainbow rolled her d20.
So, how much info do I get for this knowledge check?
That's a pretty high roll. Just a moment while I write it out for you. Holy stared at the statue of Gildana, goddess of thugs. She stood right upright on her lion legs, and one of her talon bird's feet she held. Rainbow Dash rolled her eyes.
Really, Twi?
Twilight giggled and returned to the description. At one foot, She held an offering plate atop her claws, piled high with golden coins. A single talon on her other foot pointing forward. Looking closely, he noticed a thin coat of ash on its tip. Beneath her feet, the floor spotted a nearly indiscernible scorch mark.
Everybody, get over here! We found it! Yelled Holy.
As the rest had gathered, she had continued.
The statue is a test. Only Gildana's faithful can pass.
So the door is behind it, as Nightshade.
Right.
Nightshade formed a huge warhammer and main and stepped forward. Then we can simply smash our way through! Holy jumped in front of her.
No, you can't do that! The statue is imbued with the essence of a god. If you try to hit it or force your way through in any way, a fiery ray will shoot from that claw and burn you to ash. Not even you can survive being smitten.
Smitten, Twilight said.
Right! Not even you can survive being smitten by a god!
Applejack raised her hoof. Circle Cube, I don't mean to question you, but I always thought smitten meant you were taken by some point.
Fluttershy nodded. Applejack's right. That's the only way I ever heard it used. Yipperoo! Exclaimed Pinky.
You're incorrect, said Luna. When my sister and I went to war in olden times, we would often refer to our enemies as being smitten by our power. Rainbow rolled her eyes.
Well, I guess that sells that.
Luna simply nodded, having completely missed the sarcasm. Yes, I suppose you are correct, said Nightshade. But how do you suppose we proceed?
That's easy. Watch and learn.
Holly reached out towards the offering plate, and before the others could stop her, slipped the entire pile of coins into her saddlebag. Are you crazy? Yelled Lighthose as she dove from the floor with the others. She came in the form of a noise, stone grinding against stone. She looked again to see Holy standing in front of an open doorway.
You see, said Holy, Gildana is the goddess of thugs, so the way you show your devotion to her is like acting like a thug. If you leave an offering, you get cooked. If you take the offering, you get the past.
And pray tell, said Nightshade. How does know so much about the worship of an evil deity such as Gildana? Art thou not a cleric of Celestia's light?
Holy shrugged. Actually, I'm not denominational.
With that, she tried through the doorway and up the staircase on the other side. As Rainbow stood up from the table,
I'll be right back. Just gonna grab some snacks.
As she walked back towards the buffet, Applejack stood up and followed her. I reckon going to do the same. Anybody else want anything?
Pinky raised her hoof and said, Bring me something tasty.
But the rest shook their heads. At the table, they found the hors d'oeuvres from the previous week and been replaced by fancy cakes, pies, a bowl of imported chocolates, and a bowl of baked chips. Reddy's eyes lit up at the sight of them.
Hey, you hasn't brought some real snacks this time. There's even cheesy hay chips over here.
Luna smirked. But of course, after Shining Armor told me of your preference for them, I ordered the kids to prepare the finest cheesy hay chips ever created. Nance and Applejack reached into the bowl. Each one took a single chip. One after another, they popped them into their mouths and chewed them. Glanced back to Luna as the taste registered. She was staring at them, waiting to see what they thought.
This is delicious,
Rainbow said, not quite able to make eye contact with Luna. Absolutely, Applejack said, looking elsewhere but directly at Luna.
Splendid!
Luna turned back and walked to the table. As they both swallowed, Dance and Applejack leaned in close. Ardley, are you thinking what I'm thinking I did?
You thinking the cooks just went out and bought a bag of chips? Rainbow asked.
Applejack nodded, and the two snickered through the entire process of loading up their plates and returning to the table. Hey now! The entire snacks could have been ordered by Grog.
Alright, gonna need some chicken, some peanut butter, some salad.
I love Fox Machina. Holy Roller stepped into the room at the top of the stairs without taking the time to peek inside. She found herself surrounded by a group of 6 guards. All of them looked directly at her rosary. It was poor Celestia's symbol.
Uh-oh. I knew I should have taken that off.
The guards pressed in on her. She tried to fall back, but Swirly was right behind her.
Hey, back up! I can't, said Swirly. Nubble's right behind me. Then all of you need to back up.
The doorway at the bottom of the stairs slammed shut. Swirly rolled her eyes.
I don't think we're going anywhere.
Holy growled and drew her weapon. She deflected the first 3 blows of her shield, but the 4th and 5th attackers flanked her. She cried out as her armor was pierced from both sides. Holy grit her teeth and pawed at the cobblestone floor. She glanced and forth back between the 2 ponies and a unicorn. He turned to the left and ran to Unicorn. As he turned away from the others, one of them swung his mace, missing her. The other carved a deep wound. Slowly charged to the opening of another enemy, but a single hoof on her head held her back.
No fair, you meaning?
She ran in place until she was gasping for air. Then the bandit pushed her back and slashed her across her chest. The enemy surrounding Holly took it in turns to attack her. An overhead blow struck her back from the first bandit and made her quake, but she held one footing. The next attack slit through an opening in her armor, gouged her flank. Finally, the assailant tried to stab her with his longsword, but was flanked by her armor. The bandit's squirrely head rust sliced her into her chest again. Her focus dimmed from the loss of blood, but she clung to the lifting melody of Noble's lute, which gave her the presence of mind to lean back as the sword cleaved the air. Don't you know, you never split the party. Nearly missed her neck. Still, there was one more waiting his turn. The only Pegasus among the bandits raised his sword high above his head, prepared to strike the killing blow, but it fell from his grip and impaled his own back.
And he rolled a 1. That's 10 points of damage to the bandit as he accidentally stabs himself,
Tali said, smirking at the 18 she really rolled.
Sometimes we DMs gotta do what we gotta do.
Holly tried to shove his into another enemy's side, but the bandit dug his toes and pushed back. Swirly giggled as the Pegasus grasped the sword protruding from his back. Fiery ray laced from her horn pierced his chest. Flames engulfed his entire body, and the smell of charred flesh and fur filled the air as the bandit's smoking husk fell to the floor. Sora staggered into the opening his death provided. Noble stole her loot and drew her sword before stomping forward. The first bandit clubbed her over the head with his mace, and the second attacker grabbed her, turned her around, put his knife to her throat.
Bards are so useless!
Cried Holly, just before another blow to the back forced her haunches, and the knife was pressed to her throat as well. Swirly could only fail helplessly as the last bandit grabbed her and forced her down. Dash, trust me, bards are not useless. Especially if you're a little-known bard that found a way to defeat a god. Trust me, if you pal around with a good enough gnome, your ass is grass. The bandits carefully backed away from the door, just enough to let Lighthouse come through, but not giving Nightshade an opening.
What is this?
Asked Light.
Paladin.
A bandit standing between the ones holding Holy Noble.
You know I can't win this fight. Even if we defeat the rest of you, the Alcor will kill us all. So, we offer you a choice.
He smirked. Light narrowed her eyes. He kept her hoof on the hilt of the sword.
What kind of choice? It's simple,
the bandit leader continued, twirling himself in the air.
All you have to do is surrender your allegiance to Celestia and swear to kill Donna instead.
The rest of the party gasped, but Lighthouse maintained eye contact and showed no emotion.
If you accept my offer, the bandit leader said, Gildana will empower you with might enough to strike down even an alicorn. Think of your friends. All you have to do is join us and kill one. Then the rest will go free.
Never.
The rest of the table gasped again.
Applejack, what are you doing?
Cried Pinky as he fell out there still. You're going to doom us all! Cried Rarity. Indeed, Applejack. Luna slammed a hoof on the table. I believe that you are committed to the magic offensive as any pony here.
I am,
snapped Applejack. The thing is, I had to think of what my character would do. She's a paladin. Her faith is everything to her. Applejack rubbed her sin. There may be a way, though.
Come again,
the bandit leader said. Never. I'll never betray my vows, my host said as he removed her hoof from his sword, standing to the floor. However, don't think I'll let you harm my friends either.
And how do you propose you accomplish that?
Light lowered her head and narrowed her gaze even further. But a smirk grew on her face as the bandit's smile faded. For his barely more a whisper as he said,
I can't stop you. I can't let Nightshade get past me.
Well, there's nothing stopping her going through me. Behind her, Nightshade story dug her host to the floor. The bandits barely had time to register her threat before a metal maid whipped around and slammed into the paladin's back, carrying the armor plating and hurling her forward. She crashed at the bandit holding Noble, and the three of them collided with the far wall. The Battlestar Delacorte cackled as she released all her restraint. Her mane flared 4 blades, 2 of which lashed out at each of the enemies, holding Swirly and Holy. They whipped around the captive, splashing everything nearby with blood as they dismembered the bandits. Meanwhile, she bucked another one across the room, where she hit the wall with a crunch that could have been sickening. But it sounded more like a pony making splat noises with her mouth.
Okay, so I'm not good with sound effects.
Twilight turned her head away from the others and snoring, waiting for them to stop laughing.
It's okay, Twilight. I don't think any of us is.
Well, except for me. Now, solve all that remains, Nightshade said to the bandolier as she shook the blood from her mane. Crusher trotted up beside her, battle axe and hoof. The bandit backed away, but found himself with the point of a sword at his back. Turning his head, he saw Noble Gem standing behind him. Behind her, Holy Roller's hooves were exalted a golden aura as she cast a healing spell on light hooves. Sparks to his side had red sparks floating from her horn as the glow intensified. Well done. His pathetic first use of the last words spoken, all 4 attacks fell on him at once. Sorry's face lit up as he pulled an object from a pouch, slung over the back of the bandage. He toasted,
Ooh, this looks nice.
She rotated the silver necklace dangling from her hoof, admiring it from various angles as the Pegasus corpse crumbled to ashes behind her. A wonderful find, said Nightshade. Thy prize is clearly magical, Anita. Swirly nodded and dropped down to the floor.
Yep, now let's see what it does.
She sat down on her haunches and began casting an identification spell. After the required hour had passed, during which no pony had even noticed the passage of time, she stood up and yelled,
Aha! It's an amulet protecting!
Thou meanest protection, said Nightshade. Sorry rounded her eyes on her and glared up.
Is you calling me a criminal?
Nightshade recoiled. What are thou saying? Sorry pressed forward, pawing Nightshade with a hoof.
You called me the meanest protection pony. I ain't running no protection records.
No, said Nightshade, throwing her hose in the air. Almost the same thine amulet is. She hung her head and sighed.
Never mind.
Sorry shrugged.
Oh, okay then.
She backed away and threw the necklace across the room.
Noble, catches!
Noble's young grabbed the jewelry and threw it to the reeds. Thanks, Sorry, I owe you one. What hast thou done? Said Nightshade. Thou hast willingly discarded an item that thou could use. Sorry, Scott.
As if that thing can help me. Sorceress staying out of range. If an enemy gets close into me, I'm cooked anyway.
She smiled as she motioned to Noble, who was pointing an emblem around her neck.
Noble gets to get close a lot more than I do, because she has her sword, so she needs it more.
As Swirly bounded away to join the others by the stairs, Nightshade lagged behind, lost in thought.
Luna?
As Twilight. Her face went unheeded as Luna continued to peer at her character sheet while rubbing her chin. Peggy took a bit more initiative and grabbed Luna's ear.
Hello in there!
She shouted into it. Luna yelled as she started, dragging Pinky down with her as she fell from the stool. Twilight, Applejack, and Rarity pinned it, set to heap of tangled limbs as Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash held them up. What's that for? Luna said between gasps. Pinky tried. Twilight coughed, drawing attention back to her. Okay, every pony, as I was saying, they're all heading up to the stairs to the next floor. We're just waiting on you, Luna. Oh yes, of course. I naturally follow them. Alright, Twilight said. You go up the stairs and emerge into a new room. Much like the last, except this time, you find a sleeping ogre in the center of the room. His rumbling snores make your teeth chatter, and your hooves rattle on the floor. On the other side, you can see a gated doorway.
Wait a minute, said Rainbow, holding a hoof. What the hell is a random ogre doing inside a temple?
Yeah, how did something that big get up those narrow steps? Asked Applejack. Twilight sighed and said, Magic. She looked around the table at the bemused stares of her friends and tried again. Look, it doesn't matter how it got there. Maybe somebody teleported it. Maybe they built a temple around it. The important thing is that a campaign should have an ogre in it somewhere. And this is the only place for one to go. Darling, I really don't think it matters, said Rarity. If we can have a campaign without a dragon, I see no reason why we can't leave out an ogre as well. No dragons! Little rose halfway, stool, eyes wide. Why would you play a game with no dragons? Ask Griffith McElroy and the Elroy brothers back on the Adventure Zone. They'll tell you why. The rest all stared pointedly in Spike's direction. He was smirked as he continued working his way through a stack of his latest comics. Oh, so you have no dragons to avoid defending Spike. Luna sat down, nodding. Quite considerate of you. You know, you could always bring in the good dragons.
Not quite,
said Rainbow, rolling her eyes. Twilight leaned in and said in a hushed tone,
You see, Spike doesn't mind us fighting dragons as long as we let him control them.
Luna scratched her head. I don't see the problem. Why do you still have no dragons? Applejack sighed. Because he already wiped out 2 whole parties. Damn, what was he rolling?
You apparently was doing really good on his rolls in... Oh, of course.
What?
He's using Thornak's character sheet.
Frack. Anyway, back to the ogre. Twilight said, scream back up and resumed the game.
So, think we can sneak around it?
Asked Holy. I most certainly can, said Nightmare Shade. Noble 9. I believe I can as well.
I can turn invisible,
said Swirly. Barbarian shook its head.
Sorry, Crusher stuff no work here.
Lighthouse took a foreleg to around the metal plates covering it. Well, you know it, I forgot to bring my quiet armor. And then we are forced to fight! Nightshade's mane shaped itself into a scythe as the ogre started. She stepped forward to kill it before it could get to his feet. But found her path blocked by Noble. Hold on, I want to try something. The mischievous glint in the bar's eyes overwhelmed Nightshade's bloodlust. So she stepped back as Noble pulled out her loot and waited for the ogre to rise. The ogre stood up and stretched, its back facing the group. As it cracked its neck, Noble said,
Hey, I'm Mr. Ogre.
It spun around to face her. It picked up a club that was twice its size. Look! Make the lost beauty porters! It roared. Though the rest of the party assumed defensive stances, their weapons drawn, Noble began to play a lute. The lively beat echoed from every wall and filled the chamber. Instead of attacking, the ogre began to tap its toes. Then as the music intensified, it started to sway. Its legs bounced up and down, it causing the room to shudder. The club fell to the floor, its arms joined in motion. As the ogre danced, he yelled, "Oh! Come on!" It bounded around the room, gyrating madly. Come on! Come on! Come on! Oh! It flailed its flaming arms, struck the bars at the exit, ripping him out of the way. Stopping, dislodged small stones from the ceiling. Telling the party members like ogre-like, "Foot hot beat! Woo!" Noble turned around and walked towards the group. Finishing her song as part of the ceiling collapsed behind her, crushing the ogre. As the rest of the group rolled around in hysterics, Luna asked Rarity, "Did you know that would happen?" Rarity scoffed,
Of course I didn't know, but there are times when you must have to do something silly. The game is much more fun when you do the unexpected.
Yeah, it is. She continued to stare into Luna's eyes for a few seconds, but her composure soon reached its limit. A snicker escaped her lips, followed by one from Luna. And soon both the mares were rolling on the floor with the rest. As they emerged onto the 4th floor, the party found themselves in a party chamber. The cobblestone floor was bare, save for the hole where it collapsed onto the ogre. The walls were devoid of markings. The doorway leading to the next staircase was across the room. Nightshade led the way as they crossed, examining each tile for traps. Crusher and Lighthouse followed behind her, as they were the most likely to survive any surprises that Nightshade overlooked. "The way is clear," Nightshade says as he reached the other side of the room. "This floor offers no chance. Let us proceed." As he nearly reached the door when Swirly bared her tail. "Wait!" Swirly cried through a mouthful of metal strands. She patted her hair and pointed about the doorway.
Look there!
At the top, there were outlines of 3 ponies, one of each race. A soft glow emanated from the Pegasus symbol. The same glow could be seen in the haze as the air below.
Has anybody seen anything like that?
Asked Holly. Most of the party shook their heads, but Swirly and Nightshade hesitated, searching their memories for any knowledge that might be helpful. Most soon sighed, however, shook their heads. "That sounds great. So no pony knows about this?" said Light. Noble frowned. "Seems like." The rest of the group stopped speaking and stared at Rarity.
What?
"Rarity, does he have something you can do?" asked Twilight, staring at the top of her screen.
I don't see what I could possibly... Right, but acknowledge.
Rarity rolled her die.
My mistake, Noble said. I do know something about this.
She cleared her throat and began reading from her cards she conveniently found in her pack. This gateway is attuned to the magic of a particular type of pony. If any but the permitted type should step through, they will be instantaneously erased from existence. The runes that control the gateway are on the wall beyond the door, but they can only be activated by the hoof of a pony currently attuned to it. Then we're stuck, said Lighthouse, sighing. We have no Pegasus in the party, and if only a Pegasus can buy us, there's no way to proceed.
You're getting even with me for not making another daring do, aren't you, Twilight?
Deadpanned Rainbow.
Twilight rolled her eyes. Of course not. I would never give you an impossible challenge. You can't pass, it's because you made a mistake or haven't thought of something yet.
Okay, we just gotta think this through, Applejack said. Where can we find a Pegasus?
I think one of the bandits from before was a Pegasus, Forsyth said. All right, said Rainbow Dash. Now all we have to do is get that body, throw it into control. What?
The rest of the groups hung their heads. Pinky shook up a little, but it didn't quite meet her gaze as he said,
Sorry, Dashy, that bandit's a pile of ass.
Rainbow's face fell.
So that's it, we're stuck. Even if we could get out of here, go kidnap a Pegasus out the streets, we'll never get back in, because I took all the coins out to play already.
Luna raised her head. Hey, well, if it was the only way.
What are you doing?
Cried Holy Roar as they walked towards the doorway.
Get too close to that, you'll be killed.
Perhaps, but perhaps not. I am part Pegasus after all. If I am fortunate, it'll be enough.
No, Crusher said. Crusher don't let you.
He grabbed Nightshade by the tail, but he couldn't hold her in place. So he continued to walk forward, dragging him behind her. Let go. This is the only way. Crusher tried to eject again, but Lighthouse put a hoof over his withers and pulled him back. So he's made her choice, Light said. I most respect that. Celestia's lab lay with you, Nightshade. Nightshade turned her back and nodded. Then she stepped forward. White light erupted from her body. She screamed in agony as smoke filled the air. Soon the light faded. The cries were silenced as smoke began to clear. On the other side of the gateway, a red Pegasus with a pale yellow mane lay on the floor panting. She forced herself into unsteady hooves and slapped the earth pony wound on the wall before crossing it again. Her ponies in the group rushed forward through the doorway when the symbol changed. Holy Roar and Lighthouse devoted their efforts to healing Nightshade, while Crusher touched the unicorn rune to let Swirly Noble past. Luna sighed. So, what effects would this have on my character? Twilight opened a book behind her screen.
Well, that was a pretty low roll. Even with that huge bonus to your saving throw, you barely survived. It gave burned away all of Nightshade's Earth Pony and Unicorn abilities. So, she's an ordinary Pegasus now. It also removed all the class levels of ability closely associated with the parts of herself that lost. She's no longer a fire or sorceress.
Luna leaned back to stare at the ceiling. She sighed again, but the corner of the lip twitched upward. Leaning forward again, she smiled and said, I suppose that's not so bad, all things considered. You do seem to be quite well, despite the limitations of your characters. Pinky patted her shoulder.
That's why it's so fun.
Yeah, you gotta learn how to manipulate with all your character limits. Except for us druids, we have no limits.
If he thinks we're gonna shout all hail the druid superiority class, this pony's got another thing coming.
None of us can win the game alone, so we have to work together, added Rarity. Applejack nodded. Our working could be fun, just to go through the game, killing everything. Well, that's gotta get old after a while. Playing with friends and working as a team is always a hoot. Are you listening, people who want to be that guy?
Yeah, Applejack's totally right, Rainbow said. I once played a character who couldn't lose, and it was the worst.
Luna nodded. Yes, you're all right. I must say this has been the most fun game I've ever had in a while. I'm not saying Monsters is amusing, it's far more entertaining to see how somebody else might handle it. She stood up and spread her wings. You have all taught me valuable lessons, which will no doubt enrich my future gaming experiences. Applejack, you have shown me that holding up firmly to the beliefs of one's character can be a boon, rather than a liability. Applejack tipped her head in response. Rarity, you have demonstrated the importance of innovation and experimentation, thus showing me that more fun can come from doing something unexpected than what you already know to be effective. Rarity nodded, took another sip from soda. Rainbow Dash, your actions have shown me the value of having depth to one's character beyond mere skills. Rainbow waved a compliment off and said,
Yeah, I know, I'm awesome.
Luna rolled her eyes and returned to the next pony. Fluttershy, you have shown me to use skills in creative ways to solve problems that could not otherwise be overcome. Fluttershy blushed and shrank to her seat, but she smiled. Piggy Pie, you have demonstrated that the needs of a fellow party member can often be greater than one's own, and that giving to oneself can make the group stronger. Piggy scoffed and bounded over to the snack table.
Anybody who brings a spread like this doesn't need to learn about giving.
Luna giggled and turned to Twilight. And you have, Twilight, sparkled. Have shown me, you've taught me never to allow Spike to play a dragon. Twilight face of a Spike guffawed. You all taught me such important lessons. Why, it's as though you six are the elements of rule! Luna's proclamation was cut short as Purple Magic clamped her mouth shut. Growing, Twilight said, If you finish that joke, I swear to Celestia the world will open up and swallow all your characters! So let go of Luna's muzzle and raise her screen. Everybody's healed now, so let's finish the game. No. Luna, you're wrong. The true representations of the 6 bearers of the elements of role-playing are named Laura, Travis, 7 actually, Taliesin, Liam, Sam, Marissa, Ashley, 8 actually, and Matt. The party emerged from the stairwell and entered the topmost floor of the temple. A throne sat at the opposite of the room, but its occupant was sealed by a shadow. A larger pony stood beside the throne, robed and hooded. To the side, a cage held all the trembling priests the party came to find. Welcome to my sanctum, said a familiar female voice. The figure on the throne staggered, totally moved to the front of the group. Let me guess, you're Gildana, right? The figure on the throne stirred. Ha! That wretch. Gildana was no match for my power. I have slain her and claimed her domain for my own. I also eat your feathers. Nightshade recoiled in disgust. What? I was thought you have feathers. The figure shrugged. No real reasons why I do. So, what are you after? Said Liho, stepping to the fore. Power and influence, my paladin friend. Power and influence. Lai scoffed. Don't call me your friend. The shadow figure raised a hope to her heart. You wound me, friend. Have you forgotten all the good times we had together? Trixie leaned towards the light. Guys, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Trixie is looking at me and is kind of pissed off. Trixie, it's in the story. You know I'm just reading for this. Trixie, put down the horn! Put down the...
Not cool, Twilight. Not cool. Said Rainbow Dash. Not cool. Trixie grinned. Of course, you are beneath the notice of a goddess such as myself. Therefore, I will amuse myself by watching you fight my minion. Should you fail, I will reward you with return these priests and the stars of the city your rogue so despises. Entanglement. I take a what?
Don't mess with the druid. She turned to look back at the robe next pony next to her. At her command, he pulled back his hood to reveal the dead face and Neef. His dark fur was mad with blood from 100 wounds. The red horn at the top of his head was chipped and cracked.
Destroy them, King Zambra!
The rest of the group performed a synchronized face-off, while Twilight leaned back and smirked at him. Did I mention there were nets filled with rocks above your heads? Twilight, she asked, if you try to run, those rocks will fall and every pony will die. Twilight leaned over her screen, grinned mischievously at her friends. Roll for initiative. Love it. Let's finish up my story. So, the game store came to town it's gone now. They closed because of COVID, which was interesting because none of my other game stores in the other towns closed. But there, I decided with my own money to finally buy the 5th edition Player's Handbook. Why? Because in that session, I just found a way to get back with a couple of friends and just started role-playing all over again. Since then, I've fallen in love with Critical Role, and I've reminded myself just how much I love this hobby. I love collecting the books, I love creating new characters, I love writing the stories, and I love coming up with character backgrounds. And it was thanks to Critical Role and other actual plays that's taught me just how much there is to do with it. Well, I don't need to tell you this fic's great. Come on. It's obvious. It talks a lot about what it means to roleplay, and I think this did it better than the episode. Next time, more Universe.